So my name's Kevin Carr. I'm a housing community connector for Sanctuary Housing in Priest Hill.
And I'm Anthony Morrow. I'm the community connector manager for Sanctuary Scotland. I've been working there for about 7 years. We're part of what's actually called the community investment team. So we sit in with housing, but we're not part of the housing management team. We sit a little bit separate from them. My background is mostly community development, youth work, things like that. And I was sitting in the office with the housing team doing community development projects and wondering why there wasn't a better overlap, a better kind of link between the stuff that I was doing in the housing team and how we couldn't offer more support to the tenants, the housing officers we're having the most complex cases with. So the idea was to try and bridge that gap. So Kevin's job is a direct response to that, like it's in the title, it's Housing and Community Connector. The whole idea basically is that we take community development approaches to housing issues. My take was that housing system wasn't working because we still had chronic poverty, chronic neglect and chronic homelessness. We still had evictions happening and we still had housing officers who were struggling with some really complex cases. And so I wanted to see how we could help a bit more and help people deal with some of these complex cases from a staffing point of view, but also obviously support tenants. And that was where it started to focus on upstream and homelessness prevention. So a lot of the housing first kind of stuff I was reading about was about rehousing, rapid rehousing, which is amazing, absolutely needed. But for me, there was an issue whereby housing providers were evicting people, making them homeless. And I felt like that was something that I wanted to tackle. So that was where the job came from originally.
So my role basically is to visit people in their homes, find out what their issues are, speak to them, speak about the 5 things that Anthony will mention later on. And be non-judgmental how I find them as well, and find out what services I can link them in with to hopefully keep them in their tenancies, because most of the referrals I get, people are already in rent arrears. You know, they're nearly at notices of proceedings, they're nearly going to court, then the next step would be being made homeless. And when they're made homeless, basically they're moved on to Glasgow City Council, we put them in somewhere, then another housing provider takes them on, and many of the issues have been sorted. In my background of working in homelessness in Glasgow City Centre is, you know, my experience was getting people to homeless casework teams. They would then go into bed and breakfast. From there, they would go into their own tenancy. Once they got into their own tenancy, they had no skills to live. You know, they still had the same issues, addiction issues, mental health, poverty, just no feeling part of a community. And within weeks, I would see them back on the streets of Glasgow. And when I seen the job role that Anthony put out there, I thought, this is something here, you know, this is a housing provider trying to keep people in their tenancies rather than it getting to that stage, and that's kind of what attracted me to the role. And I think since I've been in the role, just over a year, you know, we've managed to do that, and still not at the point where we want to be, but I've got a feeling we'll get there eventually. So first and foremost, I need to speak to the person and ask them. I don't tell them exactly what they need. You know, I can't do that. You know, I can't say you need to do this, you need to do that. You know, the person needs to be willing to work with you. And what you'll find is most people are. When people find that they're a chance of losing their homes, I don't want to lose my home, you don't want to lose your home, you know, and people will work with you as well. And a lot of it for people is knowing what's out there and what's on offer, because most people don't know. You know, people grow up in housing estates in a scheme and whatever, and they spend a lot of their lives within a little circle of people. They only know what they know, you know, and it's for us to kind of open doors and say you could be supported with your addiction, you can be supported with your mental health, supported with your benefits, you know, and linking people in with us and helping them along.
One of the main things for us in it, like, and so speaking from like not the day to day, but the aim was it wasn't about stopping evictions. It was about helping people feel like they belong somewhere, about helping people feel like they're part of something, a community. A notice of proceedings or the chance of eviction is a crisis point, you know, but it's way more of a crisis point if all you're losing, if what you're losing isn't just bricks and mortar, if it's not just a house, if you're losing connections and you're losing access to local things that enhance your life. And in fact, you enhance other people's lives by being part of that community. So it's not just about keeping people in their houses. Kevin does amazing work to do that, but he probably downplays one of the biggest things that he does, which is actually start to stop people feeling so isolated, to stop people feeling like the situation they're in is their fault, like they're a bad person because they're facing homelessness. We're really clear on that, like nobody wakes up in the morning and thinks, I'm not paying my rent anymore. It simply doesn't happen. I'd be amazed if you ever came across anybody in life who just made that decision at any point. People end up in those situations because of things that have happened to them throughout their lives, traumatic events, adversity, all sorts of different things, And for us, it's about bringing a bit of humanity back and looking at it and being like, that nobody wants to lose their home. Nobody wants to be disconnected from relationships, from family, from community. We want to get people to a point where they are happy, healthy in their home, in their community, and in their relationship with themselves.